Hello and good afternoon. This is Russell of Hotels, or Russell Edmond. I go by the name of Russell of Hotels. This is On Air with Russell of Hotels. You know that live hospitality talk show that everyone's talking about? This is show number 299. As you can see, I have a guest today. Well, I've been trying to, promote this to the world because I think this is an important guest because you know what, I just have to say it. Northstar Meetings Group is one of my favorites, right? So anyone that knows me knows, I travel, both near and far to attend meetings and conferences that have to do with meetings where we can get hotel people together as well as meeting planners together. Well, like myself, I'm a hotel site selection person, right? So we always meet with, CVBs and DMOs and, destinations and hotels and, representatives from those both of those parties or both of those entities. And to have someone on the show that actually is in charge of that, I mean, I, I'm playing with house money today. Anyway, I just want to go. I want to bring real quick to the stage or to the microphone, Mr. David Blansfield. Thank you so much, David, for joining us.
Russell of Hotels, it is my honor to be your guest. We have benefited so greatly from you being one of our clients, one of our most valued clients, I should say, at many of our meetings and events. And I have to be honest with our audience. I asked you to invite me to be your guest on your show. I appreciate what you do. You're an advocate for the industry. You're an advocate for more North Star. So I couldn't be more honored to be number 299 and your honored guest today.
Well, I appreciate that, and yes, that is true. He did almost assault me and said, "Hey, when am I going to be on your show?" I'm like, well, "Wait a minute, where did this come from?" I'm like, "Wow, I didn't know that." There was an interest because sometimes people are busy, and I didn't realize that David actually watched the show, and he made comments. We go several shows back that he make a comment that, "Hey, I watched your show. I love what you do," and things like that. I never once said maybe he should. Maybe he wants to be on the show. I mean, I just some people just say that because they want to be kind and things like that. But then late in other shows, he would say, "Hey, I want to be on your show," or "I'm looking forward to being a guest on your show." I'm like, this guy's serious. Okay, so let me go ahead and give him
So,
some
so
dates.
Russell, we've been trying to talk to your producer for the past year now to get me on. So I knew I had to go direct to the host to get my slot on your show. He
Yes,
wasn't
well, hey.
your producer wasn't returning my calls. So what could I do? As soon as I found you at the corner of that bar at
Yes.
SMU International 2 months
Yes,
ago,
yes,
I knew I
yes.
was gonna
You're
put it to
absolutely
you.
right. You're absolutely right. He cornered me, and I didn't have a choice.
That's right.
So
That's
no, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate your time. But let's get into it. But real quick, let me just go through his. He sent me a bio, which was like 3 lines long. I'm like, no one gives a bio this short. Okay, so I got to add a little bit to it. But no, I have questions. But yeah, let's start. And before we get started, we're live on LinkedIn, live on YouTube. The people that are on YouTube, feel free to make your comments. You can make comments on LinkedIn as well, just that they won't be in real time. That's the only thing. And that has nothing to do with me. That has everything to do with LinkedIn and I guess the relationship between LinkedIn and Ecamm Live, the platform that I use. But the comments are open. I'm looking at them. David can't see them, but I will definitely read those comments to him if they do come through. But yeah, anyone on YouTube, feel free to like and subscribe to my channel. That way, you get notifications for future shows. Anytime I go live on YouTube, you're able to know, get notification, and you can tune in and make comments and all that stuff. But real quick, the bio. Executive Vice President of Meetings. I'm sorry, Executive Vice President Meetings and International Northstar Travel Group. David manages Northstar Travel Group's meetings and sports brands and events businesses. In addition, he manages the company's staff in Europe and Asia, operating out of the company's London and Singapore offices. The Northstar Meetings Group is the meetings and sports travel industry's most important source of news, research analyst, um, events and marketing services worldwide. I mean that's great. I mean that's great. But what about you? How'd you where did you?
That's the elevator pitch there, Russell. That's it in a nutshell, pal.
Okay, all right.
I've been doing this for the past 10 years. Love it. But prior to Northstar, my background is mostly media and marketing and events. I was a meeting planner. I was an owner of meetings myself, but my career began in media and journalism. Started this goes way back, man. And I know we're going to be talking about AI, but because you and I talked a little bit about what we might want to touch upon here during this conversation. But my career started with a typewriter. I mean, I hate to admit that, but yes, sir. I mean, my career started on a typewriter, and when we had cell phones, they were satellite phones that were about the size of a cinder block. So my history has been one that has been characterized by constant change, change that disrupts. So, particularly, when you think that I was a small business owner, that I launched small media companies that I in turn sold to larger media companies, rinse and repeat. I mean, that was my background. I became so adept at it that I segued over to private equity, where uh, companies would buy media businesses that were in the midst of transformation, and they brought me in as part of the leadership team to effect an accelerated transition from print to digital to face to face. So that has been the common thread in my career is managing change. And when I joined Northstar 10 years ago, Russell, we had a stable of print magazines, and I still have copies of them because we still print them, but far fewer. I was responsible for one year we printed, I think, 64 issues of various magazines that were reporting up under me, and a lot of revenue attributed to those issues, with lots of beautiful hotel ads, as we were accustomed to seeing. Now we're printing 4 issues. So what do you do to manage a business and grow a business when the distribution platforms are being radically intermediated? That has been essentially what I've made my living doing, is assessing the product portfolio, trying to consider, okay, what's going to come next, and anticipating that change in such a way that the businesses that I've been associated with are well positioned for that change and can leverage that change to its benefit from a business perspective. So, and we're still doing it. We've transformed all of our media to digital. We do probably 5 times as many events now as we used to when I joined. And we just yesterday announced internally, we haven't made the announcement externally yet, a brand new AI platform that will service all of our clients globally. So, always excited about trying to be first in, kind of first mover as it relates to aspects of the platforms that we use, that we serve our clients. Always want to be first and best.
I like that. I like that. And you guys are definitely innovators in the marketplace. I mean, I do a lot of these things. I probably do 10 of these types of meetings a year where I go to a conference. I mean, it can be Northstar. It can be the other ones. We won't name the other ones because it's not about them. It's about you. But I always tell people, I said, do the Northstar, especially the people that have not ever done a Northstar meeting. I said, do the Northstar meetings and then compare, because you think that you're getting a lot for your time, but sometimes we are, maybe, but it's that unknown. If you never been to a North Star, you really don't know. So I always make sure they check out North Star and see what you think then. And then most of the people that I've kind of steered toward them, they're like, oh my God, this is great. This is something else. They're, the it's the for us it's the I guess the people that are there, the quality of the people. Let's put it like that. The quality of the hotels, the quality of the destinations, the quality of the salespeople, because that makes a huge difference. Are they there? Do they actually, are they interested in our business? Are they interested in us as people? Those are things that resonate with me and some of my colleagues and people that I've met at Northstar and things like that, and on both sides. So it's the hotel side versus the supplier side. I mean the supplier side versus the buyer side. So yeah, so all that matters, and the production that you guys put on, the SMU. I had never been to SMU before. That was my first SMU, and I'm looking forward to the next one. Because it was fantastic. The production, even the entertainment during the lunch, that one lunch, was phenomenal. That I think it was Korea that put on the entertainment.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was outstanding. It was phenomenal, and I appreciate
It
those
was like we
things.
had BTS on stage at SMU International. It was
Yes,
K-pop,
yes,
if you're
yes,
into
yes,
that.
yes, yeah. But it was great. I mean, if you weren't into it, you kind of like, oh, this is K-pop. Okay, this is what it's about. And it was introduced
Well,
at Northstar. So, but no, it was great.
we like to have fun, but we appreciate your endorsement. Word of mouth is just so important in our industry. That's the number one driver for all of us. Obviously, in the business that you do, Russell, you'll talk to your colleagues, and if they're going to recommend a hotel or a destination, you're going to take that far more seriously than you would uh, any other source of information regarding that place or that hotel. Uh, in addition, we're just blessed to have such a great team, fantastic team of event planners, salespeople, content providers who work for Northstar, who work for the Northstar Meetings Group. So, fortunate to have such a great team, and they really take their business seriously. They're just so passionate about what they do, and it's a challenge for us because when we're serving clients like you, I mean, you're very good at what you do, and we're essentially meeting planners for meeting planners. So the
Yeah.
bar is very, very high. So whenever we're looking for a destination, we're looking for a property, and we're putting together a meeting, we have to keep that in our front of our minds, that hey, these are meeting planners, and we want to give them a reason to come first of all, and we all want there with us. We want to delight them every step of the way, not only just because we want to delight them, but because we always believe in showing, not telling. So rather than having some expert up there telling planners this is what you should be doing at your event, we try to live by showing what you should be doing at your event, whether it be through a clever CSR or activation, or just really, really invest in the F&B, creative ways of displaying that F&B. As you know from SMU, we go out of our way to work with our sponsors. If Korea is sponsoring that lunch, then the menu is Korean, and we make every effort to imbue the food culture of those destinations into the presentation as well. When you're traveling abroad, one of the benefits of going to an international destination is experiencing the food. That's a big part of the culture. So we go out of our way to do that, not only in our international destinations, but in our local U.S. destinations as well.
Definitely, definitely. And since you mentioned food, I'm gonna jump on this. I was gonna mention this a little while ago. Now, I don't know if you know this, but your staff definitely knows this. Um, I don't eat meat. I'm a vegan. Okay, so one
Mhm.
thing that and you guys are the only ones that do this. I don't hate to say it. I'm glad to say this, but you guys take that stuff serious. So when you're sending out, notification that okay, you've been um, okay to attend this or been approved to attend it, they ask for your dietary restrictions or restraints or whatever. If you're gluten free, whatever. I'm vegan, right? So I put that down. And every time I come there, they said, they'll pull me aside. They don't make it known for everybody to know this, right? They pull me aside and say, "Hey, I know you're vegan. If there's something that's not on the buffet, because normally in the morning and for lunch it's a buffet, right? If there's something that doesn't fit your dietary needs or restrictions, let the staff know, and they will have a vegan plate for you in the back." And they always do, and it's something that is creative. It's not something that's just thrown together. That's how you can tell that, one, your staff cares. Two, the chef in the back that I never see cares as well, right? They're not just throwing something together, so a plate of steamed vegetables and some rice and assume that he's going to eat it and like it. No, there's something that's creative, something that's flavorful, and I really appreciate that, because food is a big thing for meeting planners, hotel people. I mean, that's meetings in general. Food is a huge thing, right? And for you guys to get that right every single time. I mean, every single time that I've been to a Northstar, I don't have to worry about that anymore. Now I go to other ones, I get spoiled. One thing, you guys spoil me, so I go to these other ones and I get disappointed. But I never get disappointed. And I'm not just saying this because you're on here. I say this all the time when you're not on here. So, because I know somebody in the background is like, "Oh, he only said it because David's there." No, I'm not saying it because David's here. I'm saying it because it's true, and it means makes a big difference. Because the option is, for me, I don't eat. That would be the option, right? So
Exactly.
who wants to not eat?
No one wants to not eat, and no one wants to feel like they're being neglected. I mean,
Exactly.
that's the bottom line. And when you're asking the question, when you register for an event, what your dietary restrictions are, you gotta walk the walk,
Right.
and provide for every attendee.
I
You
appreciate
know,
that.
and it's complicated. I don't disagree that sometimes at some events you've got more people with dietary restrictions than not. So and this is a trend that you see across the industry. So it's a real thing, and as meeting planners, we've got to be prepared to deliver on that. Because you're absolutely right. Food is a major part of any experience, and you want to ensure that you don't crimp on what is considered to be a very important part of anybody's experience, whether it be at an event or anywhere else.
Exactly. Thank you so much for saying that. I have a
When
comment here.
people,
I'm sorry.
yes,
I'm sorry.
go
There's a
ahead.
comment here. There's a comment. I just put it on the screen. This is from Tiffany English. Northstar meetings are awesome. I'm headed to Incentive Live this weekend.
Excellent,
So
excellent. Thank
Incentive
you,
Live, I
Tiffany.
believe that's in Puerto Rico.
It's in Puerto Rico. It's
Okay.
indeed. It's
Okay.
indeed.
Very good. Very good. So yes, Tiffany and I
Tiffany, I'm sorry I'm not going to be seeing you there. I am, unfortunately, I've got a date at CVent Connect. I'm going to be speaking at CVent Connect in San Antonio. But, all my staff will be there to welcome you. And we're excited. We're excited to be back in Puerto Rico. It's been quite some time since we've been there. And Incentive Live is always a really good and important event for North Star and for the industry overall. So looking forward to you having a great experience there, Tiffany.
Very good. Very good. Thank you, Tiffany, for the comment. Hey, now, okay, I'm gonna get into a couple questions here. Okay, so, how does North Star figure out which destinations are going to work for these programs that you do?
We try to take our clients to places where they either haven't been before or haven't been in quite some time, new hotels or renovated hotels. So we try to find properties and places that would be perceived to be attractive. Oh, I haven't been there in a while, or oh, I don't know that hotel. Obviously, that provides a really, really good hook first and foremost. And then, to be frank with you, Russell, we want to work with people who want to work with us. So,
Okay.
it's very important to have a partner, both at the destination and on property, who shares the same, cultural vision of an event, as we do. So a lot of it has to do with the qualitative side of how you deliver a great event. Does your does your chef, will he be available to us to ensure that folks with dietary requirements are going to be delighted? Um, will our event design be, such that it'll give ideas to our attendees as to how they might be able to maximize the experience and the space? Are there activities? Are there activations? Are there CSRs that are meaningful, that it can integrate our attendees into the destination so they can really experience the destination? We want people to go to a place and then want to go back to the place, not just for an event, but also, hey, I want to bring my family back here at some point in time. We want our experience to not only lift the attendees who experience it, but obviously lift the destination as well, provide economic value, on site, during the 3 or 4 days that we're there, but obviously bring demonstrable value after the event
Yeah.
with more meetings and more business that will result. And more often than not, Russell, our clients tell us that they can quantify that. They can quantify that in a very positive way.
Okay. Okay. Very good. I always wondered that. But one thing that I've learned is that we've been sleeping on a lot of these second, third, and fourth tier city destinations because you guys on the for the most part will highlight. Oh, I'll just throw this out here. I'll just throw this particular destination out there. Greenville, South Carolina. Okay, you guys did a program there. I don't know, maybe it's about a year and a half, 2 years ago, and
Yes.
I'd never been there before, and I have clients that are in that kind of southeast region, so I was able to talk intelligently about Greenville, South Carolina, and make a long story short, they ended up booking that destination all because of I was exposed to it, and any other way I would not have been exposed to that. I never would have known about that destination. I never would have known how, like walkable the city was, downtown area, and the hotels that were available there. And it because my client is in Atlanta, so that's not a long flight from Atlanta to get there, right? Maybe was it 2 hours or an hour and a half or whatever. So it worked out. But like I said, I never would have known. And then you guys always kind of share those or introduce some of those. I mean, some of them I've been to before, but maybe they weren't on top of mind, so to speak. But then, okay, it's in Tucson this time, or it's going to be, like I said, Greenville or whatever. So that gives me an idea of, okay, when they want to come west, this is an option. Maybe not that
Right.
hotel, but at least the destination, which I hadn't been there in years. So you guys tend to introduce us, meaning meeting planners, to maybe the third and fourth tier destinations that we didn't think would even be a viable choice for any of our clients. But because they do have things that some of these big cities have. I mean, I couldn't even believe that in North Carolina or South Carolina, Greenville, their convention center is bigger than the one here in Los Angeles. So that was eye opening for me. I'm like, oh wow, okay. So I mean, I share the information as much as I can, and I appreciate that. So why do you guys do?
Well,
I
that
guess I said this long.
well
I'm
that
sorry.
is
Go ahead.
that is purposeful. So that began really post COVID. So we launched a survey that we do now every 2 months called the Pulse Survey, and we launched it during COVID, and it continues to this day. Well, we do it every 2 months. In fact, that's what I'm speaking about at CVN Connect starting next Sunday. And we asked these questions, and one of the questions that came up, right after COVID, when meetings really spiked and were booming, that with inflation and the economy being such a constraint for many planners, there was a growing need for smaller, what we call small and boutique type of venues, and obviously means of saving money, and as a result, a growing demand for what we would call tier two, tier three, tier four, however you want to classify it, smaller destinations. So that kind of rise in demand was indicated from the research that we do constantly. So we launched this new brand of small and boutique events, and it continues to be a very important and growing part of our portfolio. In fact, we're doing one right now in Burlington, Vermont. And who would have thought of doing an event in Burlington, Vermont? But they have terrific infrastructure. You can't beat the cost and the affordability. Yes, it may not be accessible to all, but just like your experience, a client from Atlanta going to Greenville, South Carolina could be a good fit. Could be a good fit in terms of accessibility, could be good fit in terms of cost, and also a good fit because these are places that are hungry for new business. And, Greenville, South Carolina is a really good example of what I was talking about before. Here's a destination that wants to partner with Northstar, that wants to do it and do it right, and produce an event that's going to be a home run for all parties involved. Apparently it was one for you, which is great, Russell, because you brought some business to the destination. That's what it's all about. So as people continue to have to deal with remote workforces, as people continue to feel the pressure of what has been first an inflationary economy and now potentially a recessionary economy, still trying to delight their clients while staying within budget isn't easy, then and the Greenvilles and the Burlingtons and the Knoxvilles, they're going to be places that are going to be in play. And these are folks who have invested in their infrastructure. They've got new convention centers that, as you said, you had no idea that it even existed, and really good quality hotels, and their customer service is the best in the business. They're good places to bring events, and we're delighted to be able to partner with some fabulous destinations, some fabulous hotels to spread that good news that those options exist for our clients.
Yeah, I always tell people, I said, don't sleep on these destinations. I just mentioned
Yeah.
third, fourth tier. They know they're not the Vegases and the Chicago's and LA. So second, third, fourth, fifth tier destinations. And like I said, I've only known about them because I've been introduced to organizations like yourself. So I do appreciate that. Let's see. I had a couple other questions. Okay. So the political climate that's going on in the United States. Okay. And this show is not about politics or anything like that, but how does that affect meetings, or what have you seen? Have you seen that? Is it affecting meetings? Are meetings down? Are meetings up? Is it still kind of wait and see? And I think that can go based on the market segment too. Is it government business you're talking about? Is it corporate or whatever? But have you seen anything like that based on the current political climate?
Yes, big time. Um, as I mentioned earlier, we do a survey every 2 months, and we've been doing it for 5 years since the onset of the pandemic. So, then this is soft data. So, it's not hard data. In fact, CVent is going to be presenting their hard data at CVent Connect. We've been asking for the hard data for weeks now, but they're holding it back until CVent Connect. So I won't be able to kind of compare our soft data to their hard data until next week. But I know for a fact that sentiment has changed dramatically. So we've been doing this pulse survey every 2 months, and every 2 months, optimistic meeting planners outweigh pessimistic meeting planners by significant margins. Every 2 months, we ask the same question: what's your current outlook? Are you more positive, same, less positive? And we were just rolling along, and it just even with inflation, even with weather-related events and planes crashing in the Potomac and things of that nature, nothing was was disrupting the positive mood until January, when we saw a significant plunge in outlook. And that plunge in outlook has not changed. Even the first survey that we did in March was right around Liberation Day when the tariffs were first announced. So obviously, and the markets had just crashed. So the survey was in the field right around that time. So everybody was panicked, if you recall. Folks were worried about an out and out crash. Um, Things have obviously moderated since then. Every day we get a different policy as it relates to tariffs. But the latest survey that we saw, which we just closed, which we just posted Thursday of last week, the sentiment really has not shifted at all. It's still fairly negative. And many of our respondents, and the first survey had over 600 respondents, Russell. 600 in the U.S. We had 300 in APAC and in London, so almost 1,000 respondents. And the U.S. respondents were more negative than the international respondents. And if you want to talk about international, we can talk about that. But I'll focus more on the North American side of things. And their primary impact is on attendance. So first and foremost, attendance has been impacted. And if you look at their expectations for their attendance year over year, comparing it to May of 24 to May of 25, every single time we did the survey, their expectations for attendance got less and less and less, to the point where it's a lot less now than it was even in March when the survey was first in the field. So there's a range of factors here, Russell, and I know people will because I've heard this from various planners. Some planners are benefiting. There's no doubt about it. There are some industries that have benefited from policy changes, but 8 out of 10 are seeing less attendance, whether they be government attendees, whether they be attendees who are constrained now because of a a more negative business outlook, for their business. Even event types. Any event that is focused on DEI has been impacted. In fact, there was an article in today's New York Times about how uh, they've now been able to track government memos that are limiting government employees and anyone associated with the military from attending events that relate to diversity, equity, inclusion. So, with attendance being down, it seems like, as we look at the pipeline and we ask our respondents to tell us, what are you doing right now? Are you booking events? Are you researching events? Are you rescheduling events? We ask that question, and we've been asking that question, the same exact question, every 5 years. It's at its lowest level right now since October of 2021. So fewer people are right now booking or actively sourcing meetings than they were in October of 2021. So the key thing is that, and this is why I've been so keen on talking to CVent, does my predictive data that tells me that planners are not booking, is that beginning to show up in CVent? Is that beginning to show up in the marketplace? Now, anecdotally, I think it has. Anecdotally, I'm hearing, from planners that, hotels are responding more quickly to their RFPs. They're being a little bit more flexible in terms of their contract negotiations. That tells you that, demand may be softening. So they're thinking more, like they need to take care of their group business as opposed to their transient business. And because their group business might be suffering a little bit. So anecdotally, I'm hearing that things might be softening, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the CVent data and kind of watching this moving forward to see what the hard data tells us. But long and short, I do think that from a planner perspective, I think if I'm still planning meetings, then I'm in a better position than I was before, because I think the hotels are going to need my business more than they did before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that makes sense. And just for the record, my business has slowed down a little bit. Okay, so
Has it?
so
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
just for the record, and I don't know. I mean, and that's not necessarily. Maybe that's a coincidence, because they're not they're not government groups that I have. I mean, a lot of them's kind of special interests, so it could have something to do with that, but not 100% of that. But yeah, but my business has suffered a little bit. So normally I'm doing about in the year for the year, close to 10,000 room nights in group business, and I'm not even halfway there. So and we're about halfway through the year. This time last year, I was well over 5,500, I would say. So yeah,
Hmm.
so I'm just comparing, just like CVent would compare this year to maybe a couple years ago or last year. I'm comparing my business, what's on the books now compared to what was on the books same time last year. So
Hmm.
so there you go, there you go. But
I
anyway,
gotta, I gotta think, I gotta think though. Keep hope alive because every survey that we have done has shown that um, stakeholders, not just meeting planners, but the people who they plan the meetings for,
mm-hmm.
value events more than they ever have before, value events more than other initiatives they might undertake to drive business, increase sales, help build, team, camaraderie. So, and I think this is only going to grow over time, Russell, with AI. I know we haven't touched on the subject yet, but I was at IMEX Frankfurt 2 weeks ago, and the day after I got back, somebody posted on LinkedIn a fake video that showed fake people at IMEX being interviewed on the show floor with the proviso, this is not real, but this goes to show you that you can't believe what you see. So unless I'm shaking your hand and hugging you and talking to you over that drink at that bar, the technology is such that you really don't know, if that's really Russell. You really don't know if that's Tom Cruise, that you're seeing, you know, jumping out of that airplane, man. So it's the same thing. I think that technology has gotten to that point where it's so good that that it's forcing us to come together, more frequently.
Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, let's there was one question I was going to ask before we get into AI, and what was that? Gosh darn it, what was it? I can't remember, but let's jump into AI. What is Northstar doing about AI, or can you are you guys using AI? Are you planning on using it, and kind of what direction are you
Big time.
doing with AI?
Well, big time. So from a macro perspective, we've had an initiative ongoing for the past 18 months now that is just completing. We just had an internal meeting yesterday, as a matter of fact, rolling it out to the entire company. We haven't publicly announced it yet, but to kind of level set, as I talked to before about media, right now, from a media perspective, the most important aspect of any media business today is what we call first party data. It's my having your email address, Russell, and all of the details related to who you are and what you need. So, and you're a perfect example of a highly valuable customer of ours who has attended not just one but many of our events in different parts of the country. So we know the name of your business. We know your email address. We know where you might have RFPs or might have had RFPs to qualify for our event. So think of the fact that we've got 500,000 Russells in our meetings database. We've got 1.5 million other travel professionals in our database, travel agents, corporate procurement officers, leisure, luxury travel agents, etc. in our database. So I've got 500,000 Russells, and I've got a million other travel professionals who book lots of lots of uh, group travel business. And now with this AI platform that we have just um, finished, learning, I can create cohorts of people like you who have clients in Atlanta who are looking for third tier destinations. So I can more smartly message you. I can smartly message you through our email. I can smartly message you on our social, but I can also smartly message you off property. And by that I mean, if you're watching Hulu, Russell, like I'm watching, I watch a lot of Hulu. I get a lot of travel advertising on my Hulu because it's being delivered from Northstar now.
Mm,
The system's been operating for about a year,
okay.
so I'm in the kind of test cohort. So this is delightful to me. I love getting travel advertising. I much prefer travel advertising than some of the other advertising I see when I'm watching basketball games or football games. If you catch my drift,
Mhm.
so you know so that's how it works. And it's a smart system, so that when a client comes to me, when Greenville, South Carolina comes to me, I can program, when if Greenville, South Carolina wants to spend some money with Northstar, if they come to me and say, I want more people like Russell, I want you to find me more Russells, because Russell's a guy who, fits our model perfectly. He's got a client who's local. He books the kind of business we're looking for. Find me more Russells. So we go to the Russell cohort, and the system will automatically find more Russells out of the 500,000 other people that we have in our database who are like you. So we're really excited about it. It's through the platform that we've developed, it's guaranteed to perform. So it will have ROI. Every dollar counts, and if a customer is going to come to us and ask us to put however many thousands of dollars to work for them, we can guarantee it will work for them, because the AI will ensure it's going to the right people and that the right people are interacting. What it does is also measures engagement. So not only do I know your interest, Russell, from attending our events, but I also know your interest because every time you click on an email or you watch a video that we've done, or come to a web page, we have all of that data. So all of that data goes into comprising what we know about you and how we can more effectively message you. So from a macro perspective, that's the product. It's called Navigator, Northstar Navigator, and we're soft launching it. We just soft launched it inside the organization, and we'll be publicly announcing it in August. So we're very, very excited about that. But as far as of just use cases here, we use it pretty extensively to help create menus. We use it very extensively from a marketing perspective. We help it to write our um, proposals. It helps us write some content. We don't want to rely it too much. We don't want to be just a uh, machine driven content. We value our human content providers. We've got some members of our team who've been in the industry for 34 years. So I mean, that's experience that no machine can replace. So and we're all about relationships too. I mean, that's mission critical. But what we're trying to use AI for is just facilitate greater productivity, take some of those mundane tasks off of our plates. So whether it comes to writing a more clever subject header for an email, or rewrite some content, I frankly, having come up as a journalist myself, I pride myself on my writing, and I pride myself on my own voice. But I don't want AI to mess with that, because I am who I am,
Mhm.
And I want my written communication to reflect who I am and what my brand is all about. So we don't really use it for that, but for headline writing and bullet points and things of that nature, yeah, we may rely on that. It can save us 20 minutes here, half an hour there, and so we're using it for those purposes, um, without putting ourselves into a position where it's replacing the many talented people that we have on our staff.
Wow, that's good. I like that. I like that. I like the navigator tool. Everything you just talked about. That's very interesting because
It's
everybody's,
cool. It's
you know, it sounds cool. It sounds amazing that it does that. So it's kind of like target, kind of more target marketing. Kind of is that what
Yep.
you? Yeah, yeah.
It's targeted marketing on steroids, Russell.
Okay.
It really is a fantastic system that has been developed by the in-house team here at Northstar.
Wow. Okay. Very good. Hey, real quick. I know the question I was going to ask. Virtual meetings, is that still a thing? Is that still, do people are doing like hybrid? Are they still doing virtual, 100% virtual, or has that phased out?
That's a good question, and I wish we asked that question on this last survey that we just did, because when you're looking at that trend of, attendance being down over the past year, and hearing from people that, okay, our international attendees are not coming because they're afraid of, not being able to get in, okay, or they're afraid, today I was talking to somebody who said their stakeholders were afraid to come. They didn't feel it was safe, to come to the states. So you got attendance being down for international. You got attendance being down for government. You've got some, medical meetings that are being challenged right now. So the question, it begs the question. Well, are you, because your attendance is coming down? People can't come. They're being told they can't come because they can't get into the country, or from a government perspective, they can't come. I got a friend of mine who does a cybersecurity event, big cybersecurity event, but he says none of his 10% of his attendance was government in the past, and it came down to like 1% of his attendance this year was government, so it had an impact. But the question is, well, are you going to provide virtual to those people? In this particular instance, the answer was no. They too expensive. Couldn't pivot quickly enough to serve that kind of market, and the quality of the experience is just nowhere near as valuable as the in-person experience. So, from a research perspective, I don't have the answer to that question as it relates to what's happening currently. That is since March, but over time, since the end of the pandemic, Russell, definitely, hybrid and virtual has gotten less and less and less utilized as time goes by. Some people are still using it heavily, oriented, highly content driven types of meetings. Smaller meetings are utilizing virtual technology for their meetings in lieu of smaller, more regional events. But more often than not, because of the experience is less than optimal and the expense is so high, hybrid is just not appearing to be a viable option for people going forward.
Okay, okay. That sounds about right. I mean, I don't see a lot. None of my clients ask about it. It's not even a thing. It was a thing a
Yeah,
couple years ago, but it's to me, at least in my circle, it's not a thing anymore. Um,
yeah.
okay, okay, very good. Okay, hey, we're on with Mr. David Blansfield, EVP of Northstar Meetings Group. He's based in, well, right now he's in, I believe he said New York or New Jersey. I can't remember what he said.
Right now, I'm in our New Jersey office.
Oh, they're in the New Jersey office. But you also manage overseas. You manage the Singapore as well as London. Now, what was I gonna ask you? Um, Gosh, yeah, I mean, you get me confused here now. Are you okay? Oh, this is what I was gonna ask. This is what I was gonna ask. Okay, so you manage the Singapore office. Now, I did my little research on you. Okay, now, do you speak Japanese?
I do. A little. Skoshi dake.
That means a little. Okay.
That means a little.
Okay, so it's conversational. You can have a conversation, hold a
America
conversation.
Jin no yo ni Nihongo ga nahasemasu. That means like an American, I speak Japanese, which is not very well. I can buy a beer in a bar, Russell, but that's about as far as I can get, my friend. Then I'm
Well,
in
that's
trouble.
good. That's good. That's good because I like I said, I did my research other than the bio that you sent me that didn't have a lot of information on. So I say, well, let me just kind of do a deep dive and see who is this David
Yeah.
guy. Okay, so
Yeah,
so
one of my earlier jobs, actually, when I got out of college, I taught English in Japan when I couldn't find a job here in the States.
oh wow,
Um, Back in the days, so I did. I packed my backpack and lived in Tokyo, and learned the language. And subsequent to that, I then launched a magazine that had a publishing partner in Japan. So
okay.
I then traveled to Japan, 6 times a year, because we published 6 issues a year that had to be translated into Japanese. So I managed that relationship. So I know Japan very well. I know Asia very well. And this dates me, Russell, but it was a long time ago. And it's amazing. When I was over there, China was as third world as it gets. And in order to get into China, this is back in communist China. This was before Mao. This is before Deng and the great leap forward for China. You had to go to a fifth story tenement and knock on the door and say the secret word in order to get a visa to get into to mainland China. It was not an easy place for any traveler to get in, and it was quite an experience just trying to get around there. It was as third world as third world gets. And when I went to Singapore, it was like a colonial outpost. Back. This is back in the late '80s, early '90s. So this is a while ago. So now, if you've been to Beijing or you've been to Singapore, it's just mind-boggling how advanced the infrastructure is in those places. It's like being on another planet. Um, everything is clean. Everything is new. Highways, trains, airports. Um, it's just fascinating, and it's true. I mean, the next century is going to be the Asian century for sure. Um, and we're not helping ourselves, in my opinion, with the stances that we're taking from a business and geopolitical perspective. Um, but I do think that for Northstar in particular, it is in our best interest from a business perspective to get more embedded in um, doing business in Asia. And it's really a joy, a pleasure for me to be able to spend time over there, working over there, and managing the team over there. Great team, um, fastest growing part of our business, and we are we're very impressed with the quality of the service that is being provided for us for the events that we do over there. And we're covering the market because we've got content providers, so we're embedded in the industries. So we're covering what hotels are doing. We're covering what destinations are doing. And there's a lot to learn over there, Russell. There really is. It's an amazing place to be and to experience. So it's a highlight of my job to be working with that team over there.
Very good. Okay, we're coming to the end here, David. But I have another question before I'll let you ask me a question. Okay, because before we got on this, David said, "Well, can I ask you questions too?" I'm like, "What? It's my show. What are you talking about?" Uh, what is okay? I went to SMU. Okay, so and I've had this conversation with other people that went to SMU as well. The international CVBs, international hotels, they were just so excited for American business, the opportunity to come and talk to us, I mean, they were just open about everything, and they want you to come over. This and I mean, it was phenomenal. Like I said, that was my first experience. What do you think? What can we learn from the international hotels and DMOs that maybe you don't see here in America?
It's a very good question, Russell, and I'd be happy to hear your perspective too. And it may sound simplistic, but it's just hunger. It's just hunger for new business and hunger to do what it takes. To win new business, passion for what they can do and how they can do it. So it really is. And we talked a little bit earlier about how the second and third tier destinations are faring, and how we enjoy working with them to help their grow the business. They want the business, and I think there's there's a lot of business coming out of North America. So obviously, for those folks that you met at SMU, it's a North America is a very important feeder market for them. So, and there are a lot, as you saw, that was a big show, and there are a lot of countries and there are a lot of hotels there. They're competing. I
Yeah.
mean, they got to compete, for that business.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's part of it. And with the perception now changing, we just did a survey, this last one that we did internationally. We didn't touch upon it, but when we asked our European planner friends what regions they were interested in and where they think their growth is going to be over the next 5 years, the United States was last, dead last.
Mm.
That's a surprise. That's a big surprise, and we all know what's happening with Canada and the bad blood right now between Canadians and the United States, and many destinations are feeling the pain of decline in visitor business from Canada. It's going to impact from Europe as well. So I think the lesson to be learned for us here in the United States is we're going to need to compete. We can't take this for granted. So if this hard data begins to come in and it shows softness, then I suspect the and this is in IMEX Frankfurt. They had more U.S. destinations exhibiting at IMEX Frankfurt in the history of IMEX Frankfurt 2 weeks ago. So
Wow.
U.S. destinations they're getting the message that if you want the business, you have to get in line for it, and you're going to have to compete for it. So that is, I think, a reality that we can all kind of predict will take place kind of going forward,
No, I
for
agree.
sure.
I 100% agree with that. And my take on it is that, yeah, I mean, I'm going to echo some of the things you said. Um, we don't seem to be as hungry as they are. And my experience, or just from why am I saying that? Just the presentations alone, like say what Korea did, and I think another, I can't remember the other destination, but they had things on the table, and some people may think this is something small, but there's takeaways on the table, like for Korea, or just let's just start with the food. Everything was themed. Everything was around Korea, right? It was from the K-pop dancers to the food, the Korean barbecue, all that stuff. Even for me, there was vegan Korean barbecue. I mean, all those things. I could not leave that presentation and not know a little bit about Korea, about Seoul, Korea. I mean, about that destination, the people that were presenting. Sometimes when people from the states do these same presentations, they don't have takeaways like that. It's not the top of mind. I'm not 6 months later still talking about it like it was just yesterday. Okay.
Yeah.
So those are the things that make a big difference. And another thing that makes a big difference is the follow up, because your work doesn't start until you get back to your office. That's not necessarily, I mean, it's work because you have to be there, but the follow up is the work, right? Getting back to your office and bombarding all these people that you met with emails and phone calls or whatever, additional information about their destination or their hotel. That's how you gain the business, right? It's uh, constantly, not necessarily you're badgering people, but you're sending out information because you're top of mind. The same
Right.
stuff here, I don't get that. I mean, I'm still getting bombarded with things from SMU conference. I can go back a couple of conferences, or I've been to at least one other conference from another. It wasn't you, it wasn't Northstar, but it was another one. But I don't get anything from them. And this it was sooner. It was within the last 30 days, 45 days, right? So
Hmm.
it's the hunger. The hunger is that I think is what we're missing. We think that we're gonna get just because we're here or whatever, we're gonna get the business over something else. But people are expanding. I mean, I have clients that are expanding. They are going overseas. They are going international. And now I have. I mean, I'm glad I went to SMU because now I have options for these clients because, like I said, they're hungry. They're giving me information. Someone from Barcelona, Spain, called me a couple of days ago. I'm like, wow, this is great. They didn't
Fantastic.
email me. They called me. So I'm like, okay, let me answer this phone. Okay, so I mean, those are
This is
things that are
this is
different.
exactly it. I mean, you want to work with a partner who wants your business.
Yeah,
That's if you don't want my business, then you're not going to take care of my business.
it's
So
true.
I mean, that's the bottom line. So what destinations are you looking at, Russell? What places impressed you overseas that you may have met with at SMU?
Uh, Barcelona, well, Spain in general, Barcelona, Malaga, Marbella, those are on the table because it's funny. I just happened to be there in December, so I was able to talk
Hmm.
about my experience, and not I hadn't gone to maybe their part of Spain, but they were able to educate me a little more. So for
Hmm.
my clients, that's top of mind. So that's who I'm gonna kind of refer them to them or recommend them. I mean, it's up to them how whoever they choose, but for a particular region, I'm gonna say, hey, did you think about this region? Or let's and I just happen to be here, or I just happen to talk to someone. So of course I'm bringing that along with me. So, but yeah, so it's like you say. I mean, it's top of mind. It's who's hungry, and who wants to partner with me. You know, what I mean, who's excited about it, and that means a lot. Some people don't think that means a lot, but it's the little things that make a big difference to me, and to a lot of
Yep.
planners as well, and the clients as well. So yeah. But no, I'm just happy that I was able to experience that and see the right way of doing and see where because one thing that I can see now because I was on property for years, right? And I always say if I was not on property, how would I do things differently? And now that I'm away from property, I can take a 360-degree view. And I can look down on some of the stuff that I was doing wrong as a director of sales and marketing, or maybe not necessarily doing wrong, but things that I could learn now and how I would apply those things to now if I went back on property. Because
Mhm.
when I was on property 7 years ago, maybe social media wasn't as strong as it is now. You get creating brand awareness and things like that. I would utilize the
Right.
heck out of that, which a lot of hotels and destinations don't do for whatever reason. I don't understand it, but it just doesn't happen. And we all know in our space, we're the last to embrace technology. So that's I'm glad that you're using AI to 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 help long term generate business for Northstar. I mean, that's what it's all about: creating brand awareness, all those things. You coming on here is creating brand awareness because, contrary to popular belief, everyone does not know about Northstar, but I mean, that's just it, right? I mean, that's no slide on North Star. It's just that some people
No.
go in different circles. It's just that, but those are things. That's why I do this show, right? Because it's all about brand awareness. As much as I do this show, people don't know who I am either. So I said, if they don't know me, hotels need the hotels and CVBs and DMOs and especially those third and second, second through fifth tier, they need to create more brand awareness, and that's one thing that I try to do, and one thing that this platform is for that.
Well, we appreciate you doing this, Russell. I think we're both in the same, our objectives are shared. We want to help the industry. We want to share best practices. We want to share our experience, positive, negative, learn from them, share them with other folks, engage and grow our communities for sure. And having this opportunity to share with you and to help you, we want to help you grow your business too. So maybe we can close with understanding what is it that you need to grow your business going forward. How can Northstar, or how can we help advocate for you in the industry to help you grow your business, help you do your job better, help you serve your clients better? How can we do that for you, Russell?
Oh, and that's an actual question?
Yes, cool question. What can I
Well,
do
I
for you?
mean,
You've been too
that's a
kind to
loaded
me.
question, David. That's kind of a loaded question because, Russell of Hotels is a couple different things, right? And one of these things I wanted to talk to you, but I wanted to talk to you offline about it before I even mention it to the world. But as far as me being a, like, let's just say hotel site selection, I would say keep doing what you're doing. Keep inviting the people that you're, maybe, I mean, you got your vetting process is great. Okay, it's great. So the people that we get aligned with, the one-on-one appointments are great. Haven't had a bad one yet. I mean, I hear some people, but that's their story. That sometimes they say, "Well, I don't know how I got lined up with this person. This person, I don't have anything for this particular region or that area or whatever." And I said, well, I said, you're not going to get 100% of what you want. I mean, that's just how it is. That's life. In life, you don't get
And that's
100% of what you want.
and that's purposeful too. You can't all, we try to make the playing field as level as possible.
Yes.
So, Russell, you got your like number one priority people that you want to meet with, and the destination has the number one priority. Not everybody can get all number ones.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
we put a lot of time and effort in curating to make sure that, everybody kind of gets their fair share of the most important meetings that they wanted, with some less important meetings too. We got to be fair to all parties involved.
Exactly. And I try to throw that out there, David, but sometimes they don't want to listen to me. But I'm an advocate for Northstar, right? So I'm the one that, because one thing that people forget is that I've been on both sides of the table, right? I've been on property and I've been a planner, right? So I can talk to both parts of it, right? And sometimes I got to bring people down like, hey, did you think about this? This is what's going on the hotel side. This is what they're looking for. They're trying to make revenue, okay? So believe me, if all these costs, the resort fees and all that, I said, now, I admit that, yeah, it's kind of overkill a lot of times, but I understand why they charge for this. I understand why they would charge for that. So I kind of have to play both sides of the fence, so to speak. But
Yep.
I mean, but you got to do what you have to do. But yeah, some people are okay with it, but some people are like, well, I don't understand this and this and that. Hey, I said they're doing the best job they can. You're not going to get 100% of the people that you want on these one-on-one appointments. But for me, if I can get 70, 80% of what I'm looking for, I'm good. That's fine. The other ones, then I got to seek them out on my own. And you make that perfectly. You're able to do that because we have a lot of like the receptions, the dinners, the lunches, the tours, and all that. You have to take advantage of that time and meet these people. That's what it's for. That's why you have the free time to meet the other people that maybe you didn't get an appointment with. And and they don't like that when I'm like, well, you're taking their side. Well, yeah, because it makes sense. It makes sense. I said you gotta be rational too, right? So, but
Well,
yeah,
at the end of the day, you make your own opportunities. There's just so much that we can do to bring people together. So,
you're
obviously,
absolutely
you
right.
get what you give. So,
No, you guys
if
do a great
you
job.
want to meet that person, thank you,
You guys
thank
do a
you.
great job, and I appreciate it. And yeah, now you guys, as far as the meeting plans, like I said, as long as I still get invited to go, and I still have some viable business to present to the hotels and the DMOs. I mean, I'm good. But yeah, there is something offline I like to talk to you about. But and then we go from there. But
You know
anyway, I
where I'm
want to
at,
thank
pal.
you. All right, I want to thank you so much for coming on. I do appreciate your time. We did go a little over, but I'm good with that, right? That's a good thing, right?
I'm good with that too.
I'm glad you're good with it. But thank you so much, David. I appreciate it. Maybe we can continue this again another time. But I want to thank you. Thank you to your Northstar team because they do a phenomenal job as well. They helped me out, and I can't go into detail, but someone helped me out the last time I was there. I was kind of injured, and this lady actually helped me out with something I needed, and it was great. So I mean, I appreciate. I mean, it's the little thing. Like I said, it's the little things that make a big difference, and that was to me. It was big to me. To her, it's probably something small, but for me, it was huge because I had kind of injured myself or whatever, had this ailment or whatever, and she kind of gave me something to kind of, mellow me out a little bit, if you will.
Good.
So,
Good.
but anyway, you take care. I know
You
you got to
reached
go.
into her magic bag, I guess, there, Russell, huh?
Yes, yes, yes. But anyway, you take care, my friend.
Thank you.
Safe travels to you, and we'll see
Thank
you
you.
again soon.
Thank you very much again for inviting us. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for your partnership with Northstar, and thank you for this terrific platform. You do a great job, and I applaud you. Supporting Northstar and supporting this industry in such a very very encouraging and positive way. So thank you, man. Appreciate it, and we'll talk again.
Yes, we
Okay,
will.
I'm 399. I want to be number 399. Okay.
All right, sounds good. All right, you take care.
See you, Russell.
Take care now.
Bye bye.
All right, all right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining. I appreciate David Blansfield, EVP of the Northstar Meetings Group, for coming on. That was great. He was open, right? He was open to a lot of different things, right? He's answered a lot of questions, and we talked about a lot of things. So if you're just now joining in, make sure you go back and listen to it in its entirety. Definitely will be on LinkedIn, YouTube, and I'll share it on other social media platforms. But anyway, that is it. You guys have a great day. This was show number 299. Look forward to next Tuesday. That's show number 300. That's a big one, right? So anyway, once again, thank you again, Northstar, David. Appreciate you. Appreciate your time. Thank you for the comments, Miss Tiffany English. And as always, have a great day and peace.